3 children below 12 dead from COVID. City authorities chose vaccination over lockdown. And Lay Funeral Home stops receiving COVID-related deaths.
This is National MTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. Chief Executive Officer of the Port Moresby General Hospital, Dr. Phake Molumi, says 3 children have died from COVID-19 in recent weeks. This attributed to the Delta strain, not only causing severity in persons above 18, but also children below the ages of 12.
While the extent of harm from COVID-19 was felt in adults, persons over 50 and those with underlying health conditions in the first 2 waves, the third wave has actually proven fatal for the young. The Delta strain of COVID-19 is life-threatening for those under the age of 18, even children. 3 children have died from the infection.
We lost 3 kids 3 days ago. Children I'm talking about, who died of COVID. This surge is not discriminating anyone, it's affecting everybody.
Over at the Tarama Aquatic Center, which is the isolation facility for the less severe infections of COVID-19, recorded its first death this week after the patient developed complications and died.
But we know that the doctors, nurses here at the TAC and at Port Moresby General are doing everything possible that they can to save lives. But unfortunately, there are so many patients and the severity of illness is so great that it may not be possible to save everyone.
The country's main referral hospital is seeing an increase of deaths on arrival at the hospital.
In the last 3 days, starting Monday, we received 50 deaths on arrival. These are people who died at home, brought to our mortuary to be stored. On Tuesday, we received 40 deaths on arrival. On Thursday, yesterday afternoon, we received 30. That's in the afternoon. The numbers may have gone up in the night. This is something that we have not seen in the previous years or months. The number of people who are coming into our emergency department gasping for air has increased, and also the number of deaths that are seeking to be stored in the mortuary has also increased.
The head of the hospital continues the current situation has never been seen before and it has placed a burden on the current staff. The hospital will carry out a mass burial for the unclaimed bodies in the coming weeks to free up space to accommodate for the increase in demand.
We are planning to do a mass burial this week or next week of 200 bodies, so that we can clear some spaces in the mortuary. There are bodies still lying outside of the morgue to find a space because bodies are stacked on top of one another.
Bradley Valenaki, National MTV News.
The authorities in Port Moresby have strategically chosen citywide vaccination over lockdown as COVID-19 cases, admissions and deaths continue to rise. Governor Paul Pakop in a joint media conference says it's the people who spread the disease and they must take ownership and get the vaccine.
To give us this.
City Governor Powes Pakop, City Manager Bennett Kippit and CDPHA CEO Dr. Stephen Yenny, Port Moresby General Hospitals Dr. Phake Molumi and St. John Ambulance CEO Matt Cannon fronted the media. The address focused on the current state of the city's health.
So we, as the city's hospital, serving over 1 million population of the National Capital District, Central Province, as well as parts of Gulf, is reaching a crisis point.
But, we see that the trend of death, especially with kids and the young population, may possibly be attributed to the Delta variant, which is currently, active. There is active community transmission in the city.
Case numbers continue to rise in the city with the current capacity in the isolation facilities already reached. The governor says a lockdown won't be implemented anytime soon as previous lockdowns didn't work.
If we look at lockdown, we've tried it before in first wave, second wave. and you all have seen the result of it. We've spent a lot of time, effort, energy, resources. NCDC, for example, city manager is here. This year, I think we've spent nearly going up to 8 or 9 million. Support the police and all the stakeholders to do the protocol enforcement in the city. But the reality out there is that it's hard for us to enforce the protocols. So I'm not rushing, and I don't want us in the city to rush to a mechanism or strategy that is high risk of not working.
Governor Pakop encouraged everyone not to be stubborn and get the jab.
Most of the people who are getting infected, 95%, are unvaccinated, Olinoxim vaccine. Most of the people who are dying up to now are unvaccinated. There is an issue or a debate here and there whether 1 or 2 got vaccinated and died. It's a debate. But the reality, hard fact is that 95% all Olinoxim infection, they are unvaccinated or they decided not to get the vaccine.
And upwards of 75,000 people have been vaccinated so far, with the target set for over 100,000 people by the end of the year.
We are hoping that before December we should hit the 40% mark of 106,000. So that's depend on, we've increased capability in terms of our sites in the cities. So I believe before December we should be able to reach the 40% target of 106,000.
Bradley Valenaki, National MTV News.
Meanwhile, the Port Moresby General Hospital is at a crisis point. A disturbing report from the CEO's office says that the hospital is teetering on collapse unless more support is given immediately. Other provincial hospitals are also requesting support from POMGEN, and this is putting pressure on existing capacity at the country's major hospital.
Reports from the Port Moresby General Hospital's CEO's office state the hospital is reaching a crisis point. CEO Dr. Paki Molumi, through an update, stated the hospital urgently needs additional resources and manpower to combat the current surge. Per the situation report, all holding bays are full with COVID-19 patients. From the Ostmart triage tent, the emergency department, the isolation ward and all other beds from different sections. While the influx of COVID-positive patients continue to rise, the hospital's medical and nursing staff are also being infected at an alarming rate. POMGEN reports that 52 medical and 47 nursing staff are in isolation after testing positive, per the update for the last 24 hours. This has added strain to manpower. The few staff left, according to the report, are overworked and fatigued as they work 24 hours to cover shifts of their infected colleagues. The report further states the hospital is witnessing death tolls never seen in its history. In the last 3 days, according to the update, POMGH recorded 50 deaths on admission on Monday, 40 on Tuesday and 30 deaths yesterday. The CEO says currently the hospital is understaffed and under-resourced amidst this surge, as all limited resources are focused on COVID patients, adding they are struggling to attend to the everyday healthcare needs of the community. POMGEN authorities say without a stronger enforcement of the nucleopasin measures and a large proportion of the population being unvaccinated, the institution faces an imminent collapse. Kilawani National MTV News.
Papua New Guinea reported 288 new cases of COVID-19 in the past 24 hours, raising its cumulative total confirmed cases to 25,356. These new cases were reported from 10 provinces, of which Western Highlands reported the highest of 122 cases, followed by NCD 73, Morobe with 45 cases, Central with 15, West New Britain 14, Eastern Highlands Highlands 11, Western Province 2, Medang 2, Hela 2 and Jiwaka 2 cases. There were also 3 new deaths reported in the past 24 hours, raising the cumulative known deaths to 312. While there are surges occurring in many parts of the country, most provinces are far from reaching the testing and vaccination targets set for this year. The cumulative total of people that have been fully vaccinated as of Sunday, 17th October 2021 is 109,549. Jiwaka Province has so far recorded 10 COVID-19 deaths since the surge of COVID-19 in September during the independence celebration. In a media conference yesterday, the Provincial COVID-19 Task Force Committee announced that they have managed to control the spread of the virus. This is due to its preparedness last year, building isolation centers in all the districts and conducting awareness and rolling out vaccination programs.
Jiwaka Provincial Health Authority has so far recorded 434 positive cases since the start of COVID-19 in the province at the beginning of 2020 and a total of 30 deaths. 10 deaths have occurred since the surge on September 17. However, those who died at home are not recorded. JPHA CEO Thaddeus Turi confirmed that most of the deaths were from imported cases. Only 6 deaths were from local transmission. JPHA were able to manage the spread of COVID-19 cases in the province due to various reasons. Meanwhile, Kuchi Provincial Hospital continues to provide clinical and public health care with a 30-bed isolation ward for seriously ill COVID patients.
We trained our officers, and that is why you can see that Kuchi Hospital has a bed capacity of 30. But not one time to date, they have full bed. No. Why? Because we are preventing our people from coming to Kuchip. And also we encouraging all our health workforce to do rapid diagnostic tests as soon as possible on all SARI cases or subacute respiratory infections.
Other mild cases are being isolated at the 6 isolation centers in the 3 electorates. Jiwaka's health authority has been preparing since last year to deal with the surge of COVID-19. They trained their health workers on methods to care for COVID patients, testing, ways of handling PPEs, and recently vaccinations. 96% of the workforce have been vaccinated. The only request is for the 3 local MPs to support financially and help in upgrading the isolation centers to cater for COVID-19 patients.
These funds is another problem that we have. Otherwise, if the funds are channeled to the provincial health authorities, all health authorities in the province, then I think we can manage. In other provinces also, I believe that we can manage. The number of deaths can be reduced.
Stakeholders, including the Jiwaka Provincial Government, are working closely with the COVID-19 Task Force Committee to ensure funding is available and is used appropriately. Governor Dr. William Tongamp and the Provincial Administrator Stefan Wusik are leading by example by getting their vaccines.
They've done extremely well in the 3 different stages of COVID-19, at the awareness stage, to the preparedness stage, and then actually to the containment stage. We have done extremely well, and that's the confidence that we are giving to the people of Jiwaka, both in the province and also as well as those outside of province, but in Papua New Guinea. We are looking after your people very well.
Meanwhile, Jiwaka is also on a 2-week flexible lockdown with curfews starting at 7 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m.
For 2 weeks alone, we will concentrate on COVID-19 issues. So on-call policemen are to do with very serious matters, only deductible matters.
Schools and businesses will still open for business, but police are patrolling the province to make sure COVID-19 protocols are followed. People are also advised to adhere to the measures put in place to help minimize community transmission. Vasanatha Yama, National MTV News, Mount Hagen.
The Glen Rowan Funeral Home in Lae has stopped receiving COVID-19 related deaths. Managing Director John Glanville said this was because of the health and safety of his staff. He said while they've made this change, their operations in Lae and Goroka remain open.
As of last week, Monday, the Glen Rowan Funeral Home stopped accepting COVID-19 related deaths. The managing director, John Glanville, confirmed this, saying they were concerned about the health and safety of their staff.
From now, but bami lais one time hospital alpimo lo puti one pla container lo tamblo lo stadium.
The Glen Rowan Funeral Home in Lae has been in operation for more than 5 years. On a weekly basis, up to 30 bodies are received, with some being brought from as far as Medang and the Highlands. Since the pandemic hit, the funeral home has been accepting deaths by COVID-19 both in Lae and Goroka. This has been a challenging time for the funeral home, trying to cater for the increased number of deaths.
Big blood pressure was funeral director. How about me catering all kataman?
While confirming that the Glen Rowan Funeral Home is not accepting COVID-19 related deaths both in Lae and Goroka, he said the funeral home remains open to cater for other clients. Lucy Kopana, National MTV News, Lae.
Health Minister Jelta Wong says the country's health system is facing a huge challenge. He says people must adhere to protocols outlined by the National Command Centre. Minister Wong says it's a challenge for the government, health department and the vast population.
Our health system over the last decades has not grown. It's not grown. No health system in the world is ready for a pandemic. Every health system in the world is ready just to treat people, ensure that they're okay, and send them out. But we are facing this diabolical virus that we can't even see, and it's putting a huge tension on our health system. And our people need to change their mindsets. Don't wait until you're about to die to go to the house sick. Go for regular checkups. Be hygienic. These are the type of things that I wish for you guys to know.
Meanwhile, the government is yet to give its stance on the current COVID-19 situation in the country. While some provinces have announced lockdowns to minimize the spread and to relieve the already struggling health system, the National Capital District, on the other hand, has decided not to impose a lockdown but encourage vaccination instead. Amidst these decisions and a health crisis, the government is yet to publicly clarify what it intends to do. The Prime Minister's media conferences have been postponed since Monday. Another media conference planned for today at 4 p.m. was moved again to tomorrow, with the PM's media office stating the PM was still in a briefing. Meanwhile, the National COVID-19 Control Centre is not releasing updated data as it did during the first and second wave of COVID-19, forcing some hospitals to break protocol, announcing patient numbers and deaths and speaking publicly through the media about their needs and concerns. You're watching National MTV News. We'll have more stories when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The mainstream media has an important role in the national elections, and it is of great importance that the Electoral Commission must work well with the mainstream media. This was noted during the third key stakeholder seminar presentation on preparation towards 2022 national general elections today. The National Broadcasting Commission, representing the media, made a few points towards their preparedness of the national elections.
The timely and accurate information from mainstream media has always been the source of information for Papua New Guineans keen on hearing verified election results during the national elections. But with social media peddling information from unverified sources, the mainstream media is urging the Electoral Commission to work closely with media to give accurate information, especially during the counting period of the national elections. where tally figures become posted before verified by the Electoral Commission. The National Broadcasting Commission consists of television and radio stations and has a reach across the nation through its radio medium, and today made a presentation at the National Research Institute's third Key Stakeholders Seminar on preparation towards 2020 national general elections. NBC's Managing Director Cora No highlighted that social media possesses a threat that is misinformation during the national elections.
Sometimes we get to see the updated tally more than ahead of the Electoral Commission, but we have an understanding that we don't publicize unless it's verified by the Electoral Commission. And that's one area I want the Electoral Commission and NBC to have a better understanding on. So we need that's a gray area that, we can, as part of our ethics, say unverified figure is such and such. But we'd love to work with them to make it happen so that it's a verified figure and we act there and then.
While the media has television and radio mediums, also an online platform to do simulcast broadcast, some politicians and their parties are quite reluctant to take part in public debates for the benefit of public scrutiny and information. Public debates by leading parties in PNG politics would ensure their policies and where they stand on social and economic issues is heard by the public.
I can feel some change coming on that leaders are more open to fronting up to the media, but they need to do it on a more regular basis. And they need to be aware that, particularly at this time of leading into the elections, it's good for them. To answer your question, I'd love for us to have them on board, but it's more them who are reluctant to come on board.
Fidelis Sukina, National MTV News.
13 Papua New Guineans are proud recipients of the Japan International Cooperation Agency or JICA's training scholarship for this year. The courses or programs will provide participants with special programs in Japanese development experiences in line with obtaining their masters and PhDs. The participants will start traveling to Japan later this month.
The 13 recipients of the scholarship include 8 male and 5 female public servants from various government departments. They will be studying for their Masters and PhD programs under JICA's SDGs Global Leader and Agriculture Studies Network for Food Security Scholarship. A pre-departure briefing was held today to get them ready to travel.
The program to the young leaders of Papua New Guinea. Through getting the master and the PhD, we JICA expect them to develop the Papua New Guinea after coming back to Papua New Guinea.
Over the years, JICA has provided training programs for public servants as part of its technical cooperation scheme. Under the JICA Development Studies Program framework, JICA offers 3 types of scholarship to academics, researchers, policy and technical officers to pursue their masters and PhD at Japanese universities. This is to foster young bureaucrats and academics who can contribute to the socio-economic development of the country. This year, 12 public servants were able to secure JICA scholarship under the SDGs Global Leader, and 1 officer will be sponsored by JICA under the AgriNet program.
In this program, we have a unique point. That is, we do not teach from one side to participant. The same time, Japan want to know the Papua New Guineans' experience or knowledge, which means we call it a co-creation program.
Lavaki Gandhi is one of the recipients of this scholarship from the Education Department. He is the only recipient who will be studying for his PhD at Hiroshima University. He thanked the Japanese government for this opportunity and their commitment to support him in his studies.
We will go and then come back with the knowledge for us to be able to, change Papua New Guinea, change our organization, or bring the change to Papua New Guinea and our organization, and also help improve our individual, career paths that we have.
Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, all traveling arrangements have been met by the Japanese government and they will be traveling to Japan by the end of the month. Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
A former detainee is taking a positive step towards contributing to his community at Taikone in Vabukori village. Reverend Layo Poka was released from prison in the late 90s. Yesterday, he launched his Taya ministry. He says he will use the ministry to not only share his skills, but also share the gospel.
This is Reverend Layo Poka. He lives at Taikone just outside the main village of Vabukori. He is described as a man of faith. Yesterday, Reverend Layo Poka launched his Taya ministry. He says the aim of the ministry is not only to share skills of using Taya to create something, but to also share the word of God. Poka plans to impart skills to juveniles.
Because me too, I also spend time in juveniles, so I have a fair idea of living in the juveniles. Me grew up in Selong. So now I'm a pastor and I have skills and I know what these children out there think, how they feel. Now want them something, me can offload them, Lord, it can excite them and bring hope to them like how I found life. I want to give them that idea.
Even though he is a minister at United Church, Poka hopes to involve as many people as he can, particularly those currently in prison, former convicts, and other ordinary people in their respective communities.
Tintin Blomi, me stop in the regional office, me work up, but now Bell Blomi now, me no more stop long regional office. Bell Blomi now, me like serving prisons in the country. Me sit down, for how many months me sit down, me think. Me talk one time, married me. So two of us, me come, one agreement that we have to travel and visit all the juveniles in the country.
Reverend Poka is also planning to set up a rehabilitation center just outside his home for juveniles.
The Empire State Long Vabukori, that all our children in this place, when they have conflict with the law, instead of they go to prison, I am going to stop them. I'm telling you, I'm going to stop them. They will not go there because we are going to break. I will go inside and take the small boys under the age of 10 to 17.
Poka believes every youth has their own potential to create something. He is advising the younger generation to make use of that potential.
So me by encouraging all young people not to wait for opportunities, but you create opportunities. Also now, this opportunity, one money no come to me loco. I have to create that pathway for myself. Me designing, me planning, me making. Today I will travel. You know, one man come to me to travel.
Back in when I first saw him in 19.
The launching was witnessed by PNG Correctional Service Commissioner Stephen Pokanis. Podivai National MTV News.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina is buying $0.2775 US, $0.3649 Australian dollars, $0.2301 euro, and 31.15 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee and copper closed higher, and cocoa closed lower. Crude oil is trading lower, palm oil and copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. Chukai Sports is next, all the details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The PNG Barramundis will be up against Bangladesh in their final match at the 2021 T20 World Cup. The two nations will face off at the Al Amirat Cricket Stadium in Oman. With PNG recording 2 losses from 2 games, the Barramundis will be playing for pride, while victory for Bangladesh would secure a spot for themselves in the next round.
Bangladesh will take on the PNG Barramundis in their final Group B match of the 2021 T20 World Cup this evening. PNG have lost their opening 2 matches in the T20 World Cup, suffering a 10-wicket defeat at the hands of Oman before losing to Scotland by 17 runs.
It has happened too often.
However, their second performance showed a lot of promise, with Norman Vanua scoring 47 runs from 37 balls.
Oh, no slip in, took the slip out.
Vanua's time at the crease included 2 4s and 2 6s. If the 27-year-old Vanua can survive Bangladesh's spin onslaught in the middle overs, it could find the final 6 a very happy hunting ground.
This is really good.
Bangladesh will be relying on their big guns, in the likes of Shakib Al Hasan.
Shot, and that's done.
Shakib is crucial to Bangladesh's success and should wreak havoc with Papua New Guinea's batters and bowlers alike.
Side 2 men on the leg side fence.
Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. There were the details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Moniplus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Mostly fine weather in Port Moresby, Daru and Alatau. Partly cloudy in Kerma and Popondetta. In the Mamasa region, partly cloudy in Lae, and partly cloudy with a few showers in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy periods with a few showers in Lorengau and Buka, and cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms in Kavieng, Kokoporabal and Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, partly cloudy with patchy rain, then morning fog right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Mabeg. Forecast for small crafts for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru and Kiwai Islands to Kerma, including Yule Island to Hood Point and Samari Islands, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to CRC and Long Island, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Samari Islands to Cape Vogel and eastern and western Milne Islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters north of Cape Vogel through Huon Gulf to Finschhafen, with waters north of Long Island to Medang to Wewak and Vanimo, to the northern PNG Indonesian border, with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of New Ireland to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1 meter. I'll look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Sea slight to moderate with east to southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. In the Solomon Sea, sea smooth with northeast to easterly winds at 5 to 10 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, sea smooth with east to southeast winds at 5 to 10 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, sea slight with northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Moniplus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Thursday, 21st of October, 2021. Until next time, pleasant viewing, be safe and good night.